Welcome back to the journey. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a 7-step process on how to apologize to our kids. And I'm going to share some real life examples so you can see it in action. That's generally the best way we learn. So you can do this for yourself. Now this really isn't one of the steps, but it's a recognition. We never want to apologize to our kids. We want to make amends. Think about it. Does anyone of us like to be apologized to? Of course not. Apologies have lost their meaning. Because now, everyone says, I'm sorry for anything. You walk into a wall and the other person goes, oh, I'm sorry. Like they were responsible. That's how much shame and codependence there is. That's not the correct time to say I'm sorry. Also, in a relationship, people say I'm sorry all the time, but nothing changes. And now there's this expectation of, hey, I've apologized, let me off the hook. What am I supposed to do? Why do you still have resentment? Yet nothing's ever changed. And that's why we want to make amends. This is the new apology, I guess you could say. And amends is much different. It requires putting a plan in place so that people can watch our actions to see, are we sincere? Are we really putting action behind these words? If we see somebody taking action, then we go, wow, this was serious to them. They really didn't want to make that mistake. I can trust them. I can let them back in. And this is key with our kids. The first thing to recognize is we all make mistakes as parents. We all adore our kids, but let's face it, we're human. We're perfectly imperfect. We are all going to damage our children. That is incontrovertible. Unless you're God, which at least I haven't heard on the news that there's a God on this planet who's perfect. We all leave wounds and scars in our child and our children. And we have to accept that as fact. We have to quit running from that. And so because of that, it's imperative that we take ownership of that. Because that's a primary role of parenting. I say this all the time. If we're not making amends 1 to 3 times a day, we're not even present as a parent. And how we're being perfectly imperfect and yelling at the wrong time, giving advice at the wrong time, bossing them around, belittling them, shaming them, all the different things we do, not because we're bad people, but let's face it, life is just hard and we have a lot of stress in our life. We're navigating social media, we're navigating our boss, we're navigating our partner, we're navigating traffic. Like there's just so much going on in life that we're just gonna blow up, and who are we gonna take it out on? The smallest people in the room, because it's easy. Not because we're bad, but it's just what happens. So let me walk you through the 7 steps. And the first one is this. And this works best for our adult kids, but even our young kids. Look at our child's imperfections. Whatever it is that's driving you crazy about your children, they learned it from you. They weren't born that way. It's all learned. That's the toughest thing. Like I have this husband and wife couple, and they bring up all the time how the kids won't listen and they won't do what they say they're going to do. And both of the adults, that's why they came to see me, is because they won't listen to each other and they don't do what they say they're going to do. Their kids are just them. So they're angry and frustrated at their kids because that's how they live their lives and their kids became that. So especially if you have adult children, and I'm going to tell you a story about this. This hit me not long ago. I have one child who had problems with stealing, severe problems. And it had gone on for years, and I didn't put the pieces together. It just never crossed my mind. And this was, 6-8 months ago. And I called her up and I said, I am so sad and I'm so sorry, but you didn't know this. When you were a child and I was starting my construction company, I was broke and I was afraid, didn't have self-confidence, didn't think I could make it. And so my first jobs that I got were deck jobs. And so what I used to do is, that time when I was living in Colorado, there's this huge, expansion. They're building homes everywhere. At night, I'd go to job sites where they're building new homes and I would steal the lumber. It was a way for me to make an extra $500 to $2,000 on a deck job by stealing all the lumber off job sites. And I said, so while I never told you it was okay to steal, I know how this works. If I have thoughts and feelings within me and my actions that emotional energy gets transferred to our kids. Our unhealed emotions go right into our kids. And so I said, and I used to go to Home Depot and little bags of screws. I mean, $1. $1. And I'd steal them. I wouldn't pay for them. I had a real stealing problem in my, very small, well, the lumber, that's expensive. But little things I would steal. So I had to make amends to my daughter. I mean, it's not something I struggle with now. It was funny, I did a post a couple years ago. It was a year ago, a year and a half ago. I was at a Best Buy and found a wallet in the parking lot. And I just picked it up, went right in, had the PA, someone announce, hey, did someone lose a wallet? Guy came up and gave it to him. And as I walked out, it hit me as I was walking to my car. I was like, oh my God, I've changed. It never even crossed my mind to steal the money and keep the wallet and then throw it away somewhere. I was very proud of myself. I'd made improvement because, I had a real problem with it. And so my child, that's from me. I have to own that. And so that's the first step. Look at all of your child's imperfections. They are yours, either directly or indirectly. You may not do exactly what they're doing, but the judgment words that you use about their imperfections, that's the doorway into imperfections in yourself that one, you haven't healed, and two, you haven't forgiven yourself for. And so that's the first thing, is to look, oh my God, I did that, I am that. And that's where they learned it. That's step number one. Step number two is to make a list of all your perfect imperfections, all the wrongs that you experienced as a parent with your child. It's best if you handle these in the moment. Like another example was, I was starting to lose my temper with my kids and was just dumping, just yelling and screaming. And it hit me. There was a lot of other stuff going on in my life, and I was just transferring it to them, and I sat them down. And this is the process to make an amends. I sat them down, and I said, look, I've realized something. I've noticed I've been getting angry a lot lately. And I want you to know it's not your fault. That while you may have been imperfect, my reaction was not appropriate. And it's not the type of father I want to be, someone who yells and screams at you all the time. And so I've realized as I thought about it, I realized there's some other stuff going on in my life that I'm not dealing with, that I'm really angry about, and I'm dumping it on you. And I want you to know you're not to blame. You didn't do anything wrong. And the imperfections you've had as children are just being kids. It's part of life. But my reaction is not appropriate. And so I want to let you know what my amends is. I said, do you remember Mike, my counselor? I said, well, I've called him up. And I'm going to start seeing him again because I need to deal with this because it's not fair. I don't want to treat you this way. And so Wednesday nights, normally we do these other things, but I won't be as available because I'll be going to see Mike. So do you see what I did? I took complete ownership. I owned my wrongs. I didn't get into detail of what my brokenness was. That's too much information. I don't have to tell them about my childhood. They're too young for that. But I owned it. I let them off the hook, told them they are not to blame, and I told them what my plan was so they could watch me. So that's, now I'll go through the rest of the steps. I'm going to recap. 1, look at their imperfections. You taught them those imperfections. We need to own those. 2, we make the list of the wrongs we committed as parents, and you may have a lot of catching up to do if they're now adult children. Number 3, we own all of it. We don't say, I did this because of you or because of that. No, we chose these things because we hadn't learned the knowledge, skills, and tools to heal ourselves and not dump it on them. We are responsible for that, not them, not because my ex did something to me and I did it to you. That's not it. If my ex does something, it's my responsibility to learn the knowledge, skills, and tools to handle that so I don't transfer it into my kids. So I own my side of the street. And number 4, I let them off the hook. Did you hear in the amends? I said, this is not your fault. And that's key because kids will blame themselves. They will carry that blame. They will think they are the problem the rest of their lives. And so we have to let them off the hook and say, you did not do this. You are not bad. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not to blame. I did this on my own. Free them of that burden. Step number 5 is invite accountability. And so what that means is we're, making the amends, you go, look, if you see me, you have every, lose my temper, you have every right to bring up, Dad, is this about us or is this part of what you're working on? That's a healthy statement. I don't care what age they are. A 6-year-old has a right, if we recognize we're losing it, a 6-year-old has a right to ask us that question. Okay. Number 6, we share our plan. Like I did, I said, I'm going to start seeing Mike on Wednesdays, and here's what that's going to look like. And then, especially this number 7, you don't do this with young kids, but with older teenage and above kids, you invite them to make their own list. You encourage them, look, let's say you have a 25-year-old son or daughter, and you realize, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And so you make your own list and you bullet point, here are the things, and you go, look, I probably there's hundreds more that I don't remember. And so I invite you to make your own list of things I've forgotten. And here's what you're going to find. Those things that you remember as being imperfect, most of them they won't remember. It'll mean nothing to them. But there's a whole list that you're unaware of or things you thought weren't a big deal that devastated them. That's why you invite the list. And when you give them permission to express it, and when they do, you don't argue with any of it. Even if it's wrong, you just hear them and you acknowledge, my God, that sounds like that was really painful for you. Do you want to share some of the feelings you experienced? Are you okay now? Is there anything I can do? Thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings. Because what we're after is connection. What we're after is a true, parent-child relationship that has vulnerability, intimacy, transparency, where we're allowed to express our perfect imperfections, where we're allowed to own our mistakes and put a plan in place for both sides to heal and come back together. And this post will be difficult. Like those on that follow my narcissism, like this is what's so sad. Is my narcissism post, narcissism is caused by parenting. There's just no denying it. And I get a lot of people, oh, it's not parents, I raised my child perfectly. You'll see this. I raised my child perfectly. You're blaming parents. No, this is about them. They made their own choices. And I'm like, did you look at your response? Do you not see how narcissistic that is? You're perfect. You didn't do anything wrong. It's all somebody else. They're gaslighting. Like, it's just like, do you realize you just proved you're a narcissistic parent who created a narcissist? It's just heartbreaking to me. And so if you're having that reaction to this, that makes me sad. Because your pain is so severe, you can't admit you're wrong. Well, that's a narcissist. Well, not every person who can't admit they're wrong is a narcissist, but you're moving in that direction. It's because they're so detached from reality. And really what is at the core of that is horrendous shame. Well, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. That's a horrific existence. So let me walk you through again this process of making amends to your child. 1, look for their imperfections. They are yours. You taught them these, either directly or indirectly. If you don't know how to do that, I've done countless videos on how to handle insults, and they show you the process to flip around your judgment of others is actually you. And so these things that you see in your child that you don't like, it'll help you find out, oh my God, that's how I taught him. I'm responsible for that. Make a list of all your wrongs. Own your wrongs when you express it to them. Don't get into the details. There's no excuses. It's just, hey, I was perfectly imperfect. I wish I'd known this information earlier. I don't condone my imperfect parenting, but I want you to know I've put a plan in place. It would have been nice had I learned this stuff earlier, so I would have loved to have never hurt you in this way. But I can't change that, but I can change now. And I'm owning it, and I'm putting a plan in place. Number 4, let them off the hook. Let them know they are not responsible for your imperfections, that they were a perfectly imperfect child and they didn't deserve it, and they are not to blame. Number 5, invite them to hold you accountable. Are you following the plan? Are you, I'll never forget that next week. I got home Wednesday and one of my daughters loved to play lacrosse, not because she liked it, but she liked hanging out with her dad. She comes around, Dad, can we play? And I was like, oh, sweetie, I'd love to, but remember my anger, I have to see Mike tonight, and I will never, this is one of my proud moments as a dad, I will never forget the look on her face. She just stepped back and she went, like looking at me sideways. She was like, yeah, Dad's serious about dealing with this. And I remember, like when I went to talk to Mike, I was like, man, I did it. Like, that was parenting. And that's what an amends does. That's what putting a plan in place. They can look at that and watch you, and that opens the door to forgiveness. And that's what we want with our kids. That connection. That's the beauty of doing this. Number 6, share your plan with them. And number 7, invite them to share their own list of the things you're not aware of, and then be open and kind and loving to their list and their feelings. Okay? If you like this, like it. If you think it'll help somebody, please share it. Share it with somebody who has kids. If you want to leave comments, maybe your own success story of how you made amends to your children. And if you're stuck feeling like you were perfect, my heart breaks for you. And I hope at some point somebody makes it safe enough for you to work through that pain. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So, as I always say, enjoy the journey.